Good morning, everybody. It is Chris from Dixieland Farm and loading up X-Plane here, and I'm going to show you what I've been doing in the Aerostar, the Piper Aerostar. It wasn't originally a Piper airplane, but yeah, that's what Piper bought it at some point here. So let's see, is this how you do it? Yeah. So I took off from somewhere roughly here, and then I worked my way all the way up the East Coast over to here, into Ohio, then over into Michigan, across Michigan, into Wisconsin, to Chicago, Indiana, and then this is where my states are going to start coming apart here, somewhere into Kentucky, and then, or somewhere, I guess, around here in Arkansas. So, yeah, just a big old swipe of America. And take a look at the radar here. So we're going to be taking off from Little Rock, and then we probably going into Shreveport. So it looks like Dallas Fort Worth is up. But then again, I don't know. We'll have to see how far of a flight it is. But yeah, probably to Shreveport. Okay, I just planned out my route here. So we'll be leaving Little Rock and basically going to the VOR and taking this Victor Airway here, Victor 305, until we get to the El Dorado VOR, take 407 until we get to the Elm Grove VOR, and then we can head over to Shreveport now. Right now the weather is broken at 2600 and then overcast at 3800. But we should be fine. The elevation is 700 feet, but weather could get worse. So for our alternate, we planned Monticello Municipal here, just in case. And we should have ATC as we get into Shreveport, but the guy could disappear at any moment. So we're going to be cruising at 16,000 feet. And going, I put down 230 knots, but we'll probably be closer to 270 because this little guy is a fast plane. I love this plane. This is now maybe my favorite or second favorite plane. It's fast, it's fun, it handles well. So I filed my flight plan, and even though nobody's on here, I still have to put in a squawk code. The system automatically assigns you a squawk code, which is really cool. And also new to VATSIM is monitoring fingers. So or the guard frequency rather. The guard frequency is a frequency that you always have on just in case you want to hear other planes in an emergency. They'll transmit on that, or maybe ATC can't contact the plane, so you'll transmit on the guard frequency. So you're always guarding it for emergencies, or in case you're in an emergency, if you can't get anybody, you can always transmit on that, and hopefully somebody nearby is listening. So how practical that is in the sim, probably not, because it's a sim, and also you could just text message. But if we're going to try to do real world procedures, we might as well do them all, I guess. So what can we do? We can go ahead and get the aircraft ready. So we're going to open up the weight and balance. We're going to load up our fuel to, this is what I've been doing. This gives me roughly 3 hours of fuel when I've got it set to 21 gallons in each wing. And then the fuselage tank, we can bump that up to 18, sure. Let's go ahead and remove the chock, so that removes everything outside the plane. There we go. So here we are, Little Rock. It's lovely. But what we're going into, not lovely. Turn on the fuel. Bump up the fuel. Electric on. Let's get our fuel pumps going. This plane does not have a strobe in the sense where I can just turn on the strobe, so I've got to turn on the nav lights to kind of tell people, hey, I'm going to be doing stuff. So that should be enough of the fuel pump. Go ahead and kill the mix. Let's look over our shoulder and get the magnetos on, and here we go with a start procedure. So I'm going to be starting and then adding fuel after it catches. So the reason why we just don't let fuel run into it is if there was a fire, I'm not just dumping fuel onto a fire. There we go. can go ahead and put in our noise canceling headphones. How cool. And we can turn on our squawking here, and then be going through the procedure of putting in our flight plan. And I've been not doing Slant Alpha. I've been using the GPS. I'm getting more and more used to it, and I don't mind it. It's for a plane like this. It's good. We'll get this yoke out of the way. So we're looking for a mag drop on both engines, just slight, good, doing good, and feather the prop, RPM should go down, manifold pressure should go up, and the oil pressure should go down as it dumps oil in. So that's working, and we cycle it usually 3 times. So got our correction in for that wind. Just trying to keep it straight. And rotate. There's 1,000. We should do our gear up, of course, and then we should do our flaps. North Little Rock traffic, this is Twin Piper 552 to Lima, clear to the south. Final call, North Little Rock. Turn our landing light off, turn our fuel pumps off. And we are well above, I think it's 4,300, but yeah, we're crossing over the larger Little Rock Airport right now. And there we go, over the little town of Little Rock. Not a little town, but got the river there. How cool is that? Then you got the city. And then there's the airport that we took off from, and then the one underneath us is the larger Little Rock. So you can see our path here as we go out of Little Rock, and of course we're going to be coming into Dallas's frequency at some point here. So 123775 is what I need to put in, and he's been online for 2 hours and 42 minutes. Definitely a crummy day that we're flying into, right? But we should be right there above the weather. So I've got the pitot heat on, but we also can put on prop de-ice, though we're just above it, but you can see the temperature. We're at negative 10 degrees up here. And 16,000 feet, and we're holding. So as we hold there, we can also bring down the RPM. 2,300 and the manifold pressure to 2,300. That'll save some fuel and some noise. And then we can start leaning the engine. So we're watching that EGT rise, and when it starts to go back down, that's right. Come on, you can do it. There it goes. So right there. So we're doing the same on the other engine. And that brings us down to roughly 19 gallons per hour on both engines. But what we spend in fuel, we get in speed here, right? So our indicated airspeed is 210. Our actual ground speed is 257. So we're moving along at quite a nice little clip here. It's a beautiful flight above the clouds here, right? All that scenery poking through. Now this scenery is the default scenery, well, sort of. I mean, it's got Sim Heaven, but the ground textures, it's not satellite photos. This is just stock X-plane. So since I don't fly in this area very often, I'm not wasting my hard drive space, and I do not have the program that automatically downloads and puts it in. I don't feel that it's worth it for what I do, because what I tend to do is fly the plane, and I'm usually in here. I'm not looking outside drastically too much, really kind of paying attention. My flights tend to be shorter, half hour to an hour max, but usually closer to half hour. But this plane, I've been kind of stretching out my wings a little bit. Stretching out my wings, do you get it? Yeah. So we can also turn this on. This doesn't do much. Unfortunately, the TCAS doesn't seem to work, and it doesn't really show any weather, but we'll turn it on anyway just to pretend, I guess. And so you can also see here 121.5. That's that guard frequency that I'm monitoring also. So you can tell that COM2, I'm listening to it. So I've always got it programmed in on my little switch panel here. And our pressurization we can take a look at. So we're pressurized just fine. We're not passing out because the oxygen is so thin up here that if we were not pressurized with oxygen, that we would black out pretty quick. No, what a shame. So it looks like Dallas-Fort Worth turned off. So maybe that's why that little frequency conundrum happened. So, okay, we don't have air traffic control. That's okay. It's so early in the morning. I don't need to talk to anybody anyway. Just you. So what do we do? We'll be vectoring ourselves, but of course we need to pull up some information so that way we can plan accordingly here, right? So as we come down, you can see the weather is bad here in the town of Minden, and it's not great in downtown Shreveport, or originally, I guess, outside of Shreveport. But Shreveport downtown is fine. So the wind is changing between 80 degrees and 140 degrees. It's 10 statute miles. There's a few clouds at 2,400 feet, and it's broken at 3,900 feet and overcast at 4,900 feet. So we'll be well below that. So that means we basically can do whatever we'd like. Let's load up the airport diagram and see what our best plan of action is. Right? So between 7 and 14, right? So we can land, it seems like runway 14 is our best bet here. So 14, anything we should need to know here? No. Looks like it's pretty self-explanatory. Do we have any flight procedures to get us into runway 14? And we've got a RNAV GPS here. So runway 14, we could break off to the Belcher VOR. Let's take a look at that. Where is the Belcher VOR? There it is, up there. So in Wham to Belcher, and then we can pick up the RNAV, I think is probably the best thing to do. So that's where they would vector us off to come in. So in Wham, 67 miles, and then it's 13 from there. All right, so okay, I think we got what we're doing here. Right now, that's right. Still got to program that in Belcher EIC. Yeah, we're going to clear that one out. Yes. There we go. Alright, I think we figured it out now. Let's make sure the guy's really not on. He's not. We've got a plane nearby, but way ahead of us. But we can take a look at him in the... There we go. There's that plane nearby. And we want to go down at about 1,500 feet a minute. So there we go. In 13 minutes, we should start our descent. So you can see right here, downtown tower, that's 120.225, coming in 14, and then I need to make a left at some point, either on runway 5 or at E, to go to the general aviation parking. So you try to, I said left, I meant to the right, because we're coming down this way, so it'll be to the right. Yeah. So these are the kind of things that you've got to do. So we're up here, we're just cruising along, we're trying to get everything out of the way that we possibly can. Anything else that we need to look at here on the plate? No. So we're basically coming in ICHR, right, and then vectoring ourselves around. So, we're supposed to probably do a procedure turn, but we can figure it out. And then in we come on the RNAV. Now the RNAV on this plane does not like bring us down with approach, so I'm gonna have to do like the steps. So at Zorod I have to be between 6,000 and 3,100 feet, and then by Jews I need to be at 2,600 feet by Juves, and by Summu I have to be above 1,900 feet, and then come down. So you figure out your basic vertical profile as you're coming down. So for this plane it's roughly 700 feet a minute. 700 feet a minute. So once I get to Zorod, I kind of program in 700 feet a minute, and if I'm above this number, I'm fine. If I'm getting close to that number, I've got to slow it down, that feet per minute, until I'm in a nice glide path. So a smaller airplane would be 500 feet a minute. This plane's a little faster, so 700 feet a minute. So you can see why, sometimes the end-all be-all of I've got to rush to get satellite imagery. Well, here we are above the clouds. We can't see anything anyway. And you can see that we're so busy at this point, I don't have much time to look outside and see where we are. But even if I could, it really wouldn't look like much anyway, because we're so high. So you can see we're just going to start moving. So you can see the plane is banking as we move on to the next leg of our journey. So what we got here is the radar altitude, and I'm setting the bug right now to 500 feet. And what it'll do is it'll tell me when we are 500 feet above the ground. It'll actually announce you're 500 feet. It's when you're coming down to minimums, you might want to set it to the minimums, or 500 feet to roughly get you like an alert, hey, you're getting down pretty close. We're not going to come anywhere near close. It's clear in Shreveport at the moment. But I said it anyway, so that way I know 500 feet. Rate of fuel is going fine. We got our gyro pressures going, right? Our oil temps and pressures, everything is doing just great here. And you can see this is our live track at the moment. So this is where we got to that 1 VOR right there, and we're going to break off at some point around here, go like this to come back in. And you can see nobody's near us. Alright folks, got 20 seconds till we turn, so let's go ahead and put it into attitude mode, and we're going to decrease our attitude to roughly 1,500 feet a minute, and we're going to start backing down our speed a little bit, our engine power, because as we go down we're going to be speeding up, and we don't want to do that. So we dropped our manifold pressure to compensate for that speed down. And you can see it takes a little bit of finesse with my controls here. So there we go. A little bit more. Come on, you can do it. So you can see if we don't actually activate the approach beforehand, it's just going to go and bring us right to the airport. And we don't want to do that. We actually want to go further to Zorod. So right in about 2 minutes, we're going to activate the procedure. Take this here, put it in heading mode, so we're getting pretty close. Now we go to procedure, right? So we can go activate approach, enter. Now we're lined up there. And now we can put it back into nav mode, and it's going to turn the aircraft, get us right over to Zorod. see I'm just creeping down. So what I'm doing now with this altitude is I'm manipulating this wheel down and up here. So I'm going to bring us down to roughly 0, and I never take it out of that attitude mode, and that's how I can kind of use the autopilot to safely get us onto our track here, even though we have no approach glide slope bringing us in. It's keeping us in the hold again. Let's go ahead and put it in heading mode. Shreveport traffic, this is Twin Piper 5522 Lima, about 8 miles to the northwest. We'll be coming in runway 14, full stop, Shreveport. Well, no wonder, I gotta put it in nav mode, there we go. Alright. Don't worry, we got this. Alright folks, this was excellent training since I didn't quite know what to do after the hold, and now I do. And so what I did was I put it in heading mode and, you know, kind of navigated and got us back on track here. And I did forget to put us back in nav mode, but there we are. So I'm on visual at this point. Two white, two green. Let's go ahead and get our gear down, obviously, right? And mixture full forward. Another notch of flaps. And autopilot off. So, I'm just hand flying it at this point. I can see the runway. And I can make another call. Shreveport downtown traffic, this is Twin Piper 5522 Lima on 3 mile final for runway 14. Full stop, Shreveport. Alright, so just a slight bit high. Back on the glide slope, right? We're doing great. Getting kicked around just slightly, but that's alright. I'm trying to reduce our speed here. Get our landing light on, obviously, and get our taxi light on as well. Okay. We are perfectly stable at this point. Let's add a little bit of engine power. There we go.
Terrain.
There's that 500 feet indicator. And you can see that we came in well beyond that. A little low, but hey, there's that variable again. Of that wind kicking in. So I'm just making just subtle corrections with my feet. That's controlling the rudder. That's the tail of the aircraft. Yep, there's that variable again. There we go. Keep that nose down. And over the numbers, we want to start reducing that engine power. Keep holding it off. Missed that one. But we got this one here. So how bad did it get? Well, we came along, did our loop here, and then that's when I realized, hey, it's just going to do it again. So I put it kind of in a manual mode, and then I just started to aim. And then right here is when I realized, hey, you can click it back, and that's when we came back in a little more stable. So not bad, not awful. And now I know from next time how to cancel the hold. You basically, there's a certain button push you have to do to then go tell it direct to this next thing that it just wasn't registering. I'm quite pleased with that. I don't know if you are, but I think that looked pretty good to me. We touched down right after the blocks, and with that little variable gust, it kind of kept switching on us. A little hard. I'm still getting used to trying to finesse this plane a bit, but there we go, everybody. Lovely flight. Got a little eventful at the end, but that's the reason why you do them in the sim, so that way you can learn this stuff. So, from Dixieland Farm, everybody. Take care.